of this one?
So exactly 6 of an artist's paintings entitled QRSTVZ are sold at an auction. 3 of the paintings are sold to a museum and 3 are sold to a private collector. 2 of the paintings are from artist's first earliest period.
Sorry, there you
go. Yeah, so from the artist's first earliest period, 2 are from her second period and 2 are from her third most recent period. The private collector and the museum each buy 1 painting from each period. The following conditions hold.
All right, so this one's a little bit, okay, sorry, let's go ahead and separate. This one's a little bit harder, right?
Yeah.
Because like what else, so what are they essentially asking us to do?
So I think group 6 paintings within like 3 different groups from earliest to like most recent. And I think, I mean, it has set like positions. So I think each period has 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so essentially we're dividing it between like, what are our 2 groups? Like our 2 core groups.
Sold. So I think like who sold to a museum and who sold to a private collector.
Yes. So our 2 groups are you're either a private collector or it's going to a museum. Excellent. So this is our core, or what we're trying to like put people into. All right, and then what our 6 artists are Q, R, S, T, V, and Z. And then between each of these, they're either going to be from the first period, the second period, or the third period, right? So we have a lot going on. This is a harder game for sure. So let's go ahead and start with rule number 1. What is that saying?
So it's telling us that S is sold to a private collector, and it's from an earlier period than Z, which is sold to a museum.
All right. So here, what I would do, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, is I'm going to make my private collector my circles, and I'm going to make just because C is kind of a circle, I should make it green just for ease. And I'm going to make my museum my slash. So here, S is sold to a private collector. Cool. And Z is sold to a museum. But then there's something else in here that's important. And what's that?
What period they're from?
Yes. So S is going to come before Z, right?
Yep.
So who do we know, like just practicing inferences, who do we know that Z is not, what period do we know Z is not from?
Oh, we know that it's not in the first one. Sorry. Yeah, it's not in the first early.
And then we know that S is not in the last. Cool. So we have so we know that we're still looking for the museums. Actually, you know what I should do? We know that we're still looking for sure for the curators 3 and the curators 1, right? Like we know we have to have a spot there. All right, so let's go on to our second rule now.
So Q is not from an earlier period than T.
So what does that mean?
Which means it could be the same period, or T is an earlier period than Q.
Perfect. All right, and then what about our second one? Or third rule, I'm sorry.
V is from the artist's second period. So we know where V.
Well, we just know that from what period, right? Do we know who is with?
No, we don't know who's it's sold to, right? Yeah.
So would it be helpful to know who V is sold to?
I'm sorry.
Would it be helpful to know who V is sold to?
Yeah, because it would place a piece in a certain like, like
Yeah.
somewhere.
So what if we do it based off of that?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you like my leading questions?
Yeah, no, I
I always feel silly. Like, yeah, done. Yeah, it would be helpful. Like anything would be helpful.
yeah.
Okay, so what if we do one where V is sold to the curator? What is it? Is it I don't know why I call it collector to the collector, and one where V is sold to the museum.
Mm-hmm.
So let's focus on number one for a second. So if V here is sold to the collector and it's second, do we know anything else?
Then that means that S is 1.
Yes, excellent. So we know that S is 1 here.
Mm-hmm.
And we just know that V is tier 3. Okay, and then what about the second one? If V is sold to the museum.
For that one, it would mean that, oh yeah, Z can't be in 2, so it has to be in 3.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So we're either looking for, so like for the first one, we're looking for our museum 3, and in the second one, we're looking for our museum 1. And then I was gonna see Vale Q is not from an earlier time period than T. Okay, so Q cannot be, I didn't write this, I'm sorry. Q cannot be before T, so that means that they're either together or,
T is earlier than Q.
right, so let's look at A first, or for the first one for a second.
Yeah.
If S is 1 and V is 2, can let's say can they be together, but no. I guess the other one, the only other thing here that I would note before I would go into this game is that R is our floater.
Yeah.
And then I would start. All right, so let's go ahead and try number 13 and let me know what answer you would pick.
Okay. So I'd grab like the first rule.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And I even break it up. Like, do you ever look at it just like half the rule at a time where I'm like, S is to private collector and I'm literally just looking for private collector S?
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's just, sorry, you might know all these little small things, but sometimes they can make a big difference.
Yeah, like you just kind of like narrow down on something you want to
Yes,
focus.
you're like yeah.
So I think I might be, yeah, like C is definitely wrong because I don't see an S anywhere.
Excellent.
So S private collector. Yeah, so the rest of them S is private collector. Z, so D is wrong because S and Z are both in the early period.
Excellent.
D is the same situation.
E.
Yeah, because S and Z are in the early period. That one looks good. QT. So A is wrong because Q is before T.
Yes, and Z, yes. Yep, perfect.
Yep.
All right, so now let's go to our if question. So let's go to 14, which I mean, we're not skipping any there.
So S is from artist second period. if S is from the artist's second period, which would only happen in the second scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of the following could be the 3 paintings bought by a private collector? So then you'd make that 2, and then we know V and Z can't be bought by private collectors, so I would just
Go through and start off by crossing off the
Yeah.
ones that have V and Z. Yeah, look
Yeah.
at this.
Yeah, so then it gives you the answer right there.
Fabulous. All right. And then then I would skip 15 and go straight to 16.
Yeah. So if S is from the artist's second period, then which one of the following paintings should be from the period immediately preceding Q? Well, this is a long one. If S is in the second period, could be from the period immediately preceding Q and be sold by the same buyer as Q. So we're focusing on Q.
Mhm. So what scenario are we looking at? 1 or 2?
2.
Yes. So this one's a little bit harder of how we have to think about it.
Yeah.
But okay, so already I'm thinking we already have both of our 2s taken care of, right?
Right.
And so how many more people can go in 2?
How many more people can go into 2?
Yeah, or like sorry, we already have 2 taken care of. How many more people can go into sorry, that was a bad question. How many more people can go into the museum in scenario 2?
Q, R, and T. But actually,
How many spots do we have left?
we have just one spot.
Yes. So where does Q need to go?
Q needs to go.
Oh, actually, that's not true. Sorry. Could be from a period immediately preceding. Oh, sold is the same buyer.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I had this figured out in my head and then I started asking questions and I confused myself. Okay, so for this one we have V, Z, S. And if I wouldn't be afraid to draw this either on my test day, like just like draw a little diagram here. And we're trying to say, where could Q go? Oh, I know what it was. Can Q go first?
Actually, I think. Oh no, it can't because isn't it asking for like a painting that can go immediately behind Q?
But immediately before Q, right?
Right. Yeah.
So no, so yeah, so Q can't go first. So then where does Q need to go?
It needs to go it needs to be a collector third.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then so what is our answer?
Yes. Yeah. No, pretty.
Sorry, I had that in my head and I was like, wait, where did I go wrong?
No. I know. I think, and that's another problem that I have too. It's like whenever I see like a question that is like asking me like 3 different like components that I have to juggle between, it's like I kind of freeze. So I mean, this was a good example of how like I think they word the questions really weird, and then you just kind of like get
Oh,
freaked out.
absolutely. And even though like I really like my diagram, but it's not perfect, like it's a great key to then use for what we just did here.
Yeah.
Like, and then just leave it there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So what about 17?
If Z is sold by the same buyer as T and is from the period immediately preceding T, then which one of the following must be true? That was pretty straightforward. So at T and Z, so I think they both can be purchased from the same buyer. In both scenarios, right?
Yes. But it's
Yeah.
saying that if Z is sold to the same buyer as T and from the period immediately preceding T. So we're saying that if it goes ZT, what world are we dealing with?
Oh, we're dealing with the first one. Yeah.
Yes. So it's going to go S,
S.
Z.
And then if you apply the rule, the TQ rule, that makes Q the third one under SV
Well, yeah. Yep. And then this is our excellent.
and plays out the game. Then which one of the following must be true? Q is sold to a museum. Wait, I kind of got lost in which group is what. Wait, museum. All right, yeah. M is no. The first one is not true.
Excellent.
Q's the third. Yeah. B will be B.
Yep, and then R is sold to a private collector. No. R is third. No. R is the same as Vale. No. Excellent. All right, so now we have to go up to number 15.
Which one of the following is a complete and accurate list of the paintings? Any of which could be the painting from the artist's first period that is sold to the private collector.
All right, so automatically what I do here is I look at what we have first. We have R and S first. Dang it, we have R and S first in both of them.
Yeah.
But any answer that does not have both R and S, we can cross off right away. So I'm going to cross off C and A just by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to think about, like, is there anybody that I know that can't be first?
V. You already know that can't be first.
Yep. And what else?
And so Z.
Z. Yep. So I'm going to look for an answer with Z and cross that off. So what can we cross off there?
The last one.
Excellent. And so now I'm between two answers. And then I'm going to look at the differences between the two, and the differences are Q and T. So I want to figure out if one of these works, then it's our answer. And if it doesn't work, then it's not our answer. So it's pretty quick.
Right.
And so do you think Q and T can both be first?
Q and T.
First, what world are we looking at? One or two?
The second one. So we would be, so for the museum, it would be VZ.
So it would be S, it would be V, it would be Z, and then it would be R. Does that work?
Yeah.
So then that's our answer.
Cool.
All right. So how do you feel about this? So is this like, do you think that you can practice doing some of these this way?
Yeah, I can